2015, I took my Olympus OM10 camera, along with a rucksack full of film, to Buenos Aires to document people, characters, and scenes on the street. Candid shots, informal, all on black and white film. These 6 months culminated in my first book, A British Boy in Buenos Aires. This is a small trailer and selection of some of those photos, with some small stories that accompany them. Corrientes was a fantastic street to walk up and down. Glamorous women, street sellers, and my personal favourite, stressed and wound up businessmen. Normally found wearing a suit one size too big, they would be in groups, rushing importantly up and down the street. They were perfect because they ignored the camera, or, on the rare occasion that they didn't, you get a priceless look such as this. One of the rare formal portraits that I made in Buenos Aires was with my friend Jose Thomas, who came to Buenos Aires as a lawyer in training, however left as a jazz pianist. Protests happened often, and always consisted of a lot of flags. To be in one of these crowds while walking down the street was exhilarating. The noise, the smell, the beat of the drum. I don't know how effective the protests actually were, but the motivation for workers to unite was always apparent. President Kirchner in presidential candidate Mariano Recalde's poster. The state of their vandalized faces in the propaganda speaks volumes about Buenos Aires' attitude towards their former president. Kirchner is the first female president in Argentina, and on paper was very good. She had socialist policies, helping the weakest in society. However, claims of corruption and dubious political moves dogged her office. I particularly loved this shot of the gentleman on Corrientes. It was taken at midnight, and this man was hanging around one of the old theatres, still in its original shape from the 1950s. He kept looking around for a person, and must have been dashing back and forth for about 15 minutes, oblivious to me snapping away. People often ask how people reacted to me taking pictures without their permission. I only had 2 negative experiences from over 1,000 photos taken, and this was one of those photos. The 2 nuns were the only people who became really quite angry with me. In the end, I just had to say thank you and move away. This shop that the girl is passing by intrigues me. Expensive black clothing. One could imagine it as a boutique for funerals. I stayed here for about half an hour, waiting for the right person to go by. Too young, too old, and the perfect subject. Even with the 25th anniversary of the Wall of the Malvinas, during my stay, the fact that I was a British was of no consequence. Our history was rarely mentioned. One gentleman spoke to me shortly after taking this photograph, explaining how it was a government issue, and that the people actually had no problem. On the contrary, there seemed to be a mutual ground of dissatisfaction with our politicians. This view was repeated to me many times. Only once did a man try to start a fight with me because of my nationality. He was incredibly drunk, and my Argentine friends immediately intervened, standing by my side. The character and story in this gentleman's face was something to behold. Gentle and rather shy, but brave enough to compliment my hat and start a conversation. He was at the bus stop in his remote village. He was waiting for his sister, who was travelling to him from an even more remote village, far, far, far away. He hadn't seen her for 2 years. She lived in a slice of a street, a house that resembled more of a cupboard than anything else. Jonas was half Polish and half French. He came to Buenos Aires to work in one of the hotels and to study hospitality. He was often stopped by people from the small Russian community in Buenos Aires to find out if he was, in fact, Russian. This happened numerous times, so much so that he decided to take Russian lessons. Although in this photo he looks as if he could kill you, he was in fact a very kind and gentle man. Many thanks for listening to this and looking at these photos. If you're interested in purchasing the book, either in ebook or physical form, then please look at the links in the description below. Thank you.